All right, welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We've got more for you. Just send us a message, 0550-585832, 0550-585832, hashtag Citi Sports, hashtag AFCON on Citi. Let's move on to the next part of our show. We want to focus on the refereeing decisions, especially the red card ones. We find out what exactly is happening in a round of 16. Are players indisciplined? Are the games going out of hand? Are the referees a bit too harsh? Or the rules are just being applied a bit too strictly? Fenty Tahiru has joined us. Hi, Fent, how are you?
Good.
All right. So let me take your thoughts. Do you happen to have an answer for us? Why are so many red cards being flashed in the round of 16?
I think it's basically because the red cards have been deserved, maybe. But also with VAR, I think around the globe, the red card numbers have really increased with the coming of VAR, obviously, because so many incidents, once they are looked back in slow motion, I think it's always going to be a red card. When referees see it slow down. We talk about how slow motion intensifies the action. It makes everything look a bit more magnified. But so I think generally that's probably the reason so many players are getting red cards, because I think more than half of those red card decisions were not taken instantly. They were taken after VAR review. So without VAR, you guarantee that those numbers would have reduced at least by half. So I think it's really just basic. The only reason there's so many red cards is definitely because of VAR. And I think that is understandable, obviously. I think in the past, people have spoken about how there's a lot of physicality in African football, and that in itself was an identity, to be honest. Yesterday, Michael Essien posted a video of him being taken out by a Moroccan player, and he said that is the AFCON becoming soft. I'm not sure that the competition is becoming soft. I think it's more of VAR just slowing down the action and making everything look worse. And in those instances, you know that the referees are definitely going to give red cards. In this particular incident, it wasn't even going to get a yellow card if it wasn't for VAR. The action was reviewed, and in the end, it was adjudged to be malicious play, aggressive play, and then the red card was issued. But I think, generally, I don't think it's been that bad, to be honest. Yesterday's decision itself, especially in the Ethiopia game, that was questionable.
I mean the Comoros game.
The Comoros and Cameroon game, that was questionable. But I think the rest of the decision, now you want to a bit harsh, but I think generally it's just been VAR. This is, I think, a side effect of VAR. You bring in VAR, every action is brought under the microscope, and you guarantee that a lot of the physicality will be adjudged to be dangerous.
Okay. Daniel?
The Comoros red card was a clear red card. I'm not one of those who goes to the school of thought it wasn't intentional.
Okay.
If it wasn't intentional and the Cameroonian player's leg got broken, does it still mean it's not a foul? No, that's a leg breaker. He stood on his leg with his stats, and per the rules, that is a red card. So that is the plus side of VAR, the fact that the referee got to review the decision, and that referee is one of the most experienced on the continent. So I feel he got the decision right. What didn't make sense to me, both red cards in the Gambia and Guinea game, really didn't make sense, especially the Gambian red card. He literally got sent off for shielding the ball. That was the reason why. And that's the same referee who was in charge of Ghana-Gabon, where the Gabonese were beating the Ghanaians and he was only dishing out yellow cards. If he wanted to dish out red cards, I think that those two red cards that he was yearning to give should have come in that game, not this one. Even Guinea's red card was a bit too harsh. Both players jumped like any normal human being would do. You jump, you go with your arms. He didn't lean in with his elbow. He jumped with his elbow. Mm-hmm. It landed on the neck or the side of the face of the Gambian defender. And that is where VAR should come into play. You look at it and you see that there was nothing malicious in that, and then you wave it off. But to insist on giving the red card because he's been given two colored cards and he has to give both of them in one match, it's not fair to the two teams. and it's not fair to the competition because now it's 5 red cards in the 4 round 16 games we've played. If there's a punter, you bet for there to be another one in the Senegal Cape Verde game and the Malawi Morocco one, and I'm sure you have your good money in your pockets. But it's not. Some of the decisions are clear. If you go back to the group stages, I still believe the Mali red card against Tunisia, I'm saying per the rules. There was a start showing. It graced. You are not the one going to tell the Tunisian player how to react when he feels starts on his shin. It was a high foot on his shin starts. It's a red card. But for somebody like Andrea, use a red card made no sense at all. He clearly played the ball, and like I always say, it's a normal human reaction. You can't kick a ball and just retreat your leg. The follow through by all means happen. We see this thing happen time and time again in almost every single football game that we watch. But unfortunately, he was sent out. I was sent off for that one. If we can just have some consistency, that is when I will be happy. But when glaring red cards are given and you give a thumbs up, and then some frivolous ones are also given, it doesn't make it fair for anybody.
Okay, Susu, your thoughts?
I agree with Daniel to a certain extent. I think sometimes it's how you come in and the things that happen. I think even with the Andrea red card, it was harsh, but it became a matter of the way the stats came in, and it's like now he's coming with his stats. Same thing with the was it Mali Tunisia you mentioned. Like, it's not that the tackle was malicious, it's not that it was so dangerous, but once your stats are above the ankle, there's certain protocols that are followed. It becomes automatically dangerous, regardless of the fact whether it's actually dangerous or not. But I wanted to even point out a very interesting trend that Daniel noticed. He drew my attention to this. So he was talking about the group stage and the round of 16, how the red cards have been distributed. So it's like the group stage, how many games that? 36 games. We have 6 red cards. Round of 16, we've had 4 games so far. We have 5 red cards. So I don't know whether maybe the officiating has gone more stricter or the players are playing harder. But like you said, there's not that many as the contentious red cards are equally spaced out. I just have to mention that one of the Ghana red cards was after the game. So it would be 5 in game, 5 in game, and then 1, after the final whistle. But like I said, maybe they're playing harder, maybe they're against, I don't know what it is, but it's a strange trend that every game so far has had a red card in the round of 16.
Do you think that it will affect the quality of matches we see going forward? Do you think players will think twice about some of these things? Because like we've seen, some of them are accidental to a large extent, coincidental even to a point, and you are getting sense of. Do you think that it will affect players and how they approach the games?
No, I don't think so. I think, the way footballers behave, athletes, the moment they get onto the pitch and that competitive spirit kicks in, I think everything really goes out the window. If they're playing their game the way they play. Look, even in the advent of VAR, players still use their hands to control the football. Players still score with their hands and celebrate wildly because they automatically forget that there's a certain element that could review their action. So it's just what it is. I think it's by instinct. They will be as competitive as ever. The red card happens, it happens. Because, imagine that you go playing it soft and thinking that, being afraid to get a red card and then you go and lose it. Whereas, I think that takes a bit of competitiveness out of the game. And I don't think that is fair to anybody. And I don't think that it is sensible for any player to go into the game already thinking about getting a red card. If you're on a yellow card, I can understand that because then you know that you've been cautioned already. But right from the start, you have to be competitive. And but I think that players know what a red card tackle is. So those ones you have to stay away, obviously, because you can't be stupid and throwing your legs, lunging into tackles here and there without taking into consideration what harm you could do to an opponent. But I think perhaps one reason we can allocate to the increased red cards in the round of 16 is the fact that this is a stay or go home affair.
So you think that the officiating is a bit more aware, a bit more alert?
I don't really think it has anything to do with officiating, to be honest. I just think it's more about the game, more about the teams being a bit more aggressive, being a bit more competitive. And I always like to think that nobody wants to go home. And so when you get into that stage of the competition, whatever it will take to win, you'll win. Because you take the Alex Iwobi red card, for example. Maybe under some other circumstances, that's not how he would try to win the ball. But he comes on, he's boiling, adrenaline is very high, he's trying to maintain possession, keep possession, win it back for Nigeria. They are chasing the game. These things are, I think it's very normal. Sometimes you really just can't help it. You're playing your game. I don't think that he expected to be sent off, or he even thought that he was playing very aggressive. He was just trying to win the ball.
He needs to work on his first touch. If he had touched the ball, he wouldn't have to do that.
Okay, so
that's what I'm saying. So he loses the ball. He's trying to win it back. I mean,
do we expect more red cards?
I think so. If I can
course.
jump and I can touch the face of him, or they said I'm sent off, why doesn't it look like it will continue? I think it will continue. I think the trend will continue. I've said that, yes, some of the red cards are clear, like the Iwobi one, like the Comoros one. Those sort of tackles, whether intentional or not, they can cause harm to the opposition, and yes, they need to be punished. But the Gambia-Guinea game, no. Even the Gabon and Burkina Faso, I think it was a second yellow card offense that he got. I thought it was a bit too harsh. If you watch how the game was going, if I was a referee, I'll not give him a second yellow, or a first yellow. In fact, I'm considering the first one. The second one, of course, he was almost like the last man, or last but one man. That was a yellow card offense. But some of these things, I think the referee should understand the stage of the competition. I think that's when you should even become more lenient in the round of 16, because you understand the emotions of the game. And I think that's what makes some of the best referees the best referees. You look at Colina, you look at even Howard Webb in that 2010 World Cup final. Yeah. He will tell he understood the emotions of the game. Yes, it was a very dangerous tackle, but it's a World Cup final after 26 minutes. If you send off the player, the game is destroyed. Colina himself will tell you understand what players go through. So even sometimes when they talk back at you, those decent, you don't necessarily send them off because he's been disrespectful. You understand what he's going through. You give them a warning for some situations like this. But if you decide to be Michael Olivers and Mike Deans at the AFCON, when you hear somebody call your name and the person doesn't say it politely, you flash out a yellow card. If I jump and I mistakenly hit the side of somebody's face and I have VAR to review it, I say I won't check and I'll send you off because it's not fair. Honestly, the decision that has annoyed me most is a Gambia red card. Like, he loses the ball, he turns around and he shields the ball from the player, and he turns around, he hears a whistle, and they are giving me a red card for that.
If I'm not mistaken, I think around 2007, Michael Essien was sent off or something like that. Yeah. Before he just trying to win ball, trying to protect the ball. He swings his arm to try to shield the ball, and
I remember the Essien incident. Even the Essien incident was a swing. This one, he literally put, if you can see it again, he put his arm up like what everybody does, just to shield. And then even the Guinean player didn't take it. It's part of football. Then the ref blows away. I even thought that was the end of the game. And then he flashes out the red card because they've given him a card and he's good. No, you don't do things like that.
All right, the guys aren't too happy that I'm canceling, especially. I think this is the episode he was talking about there.
This is the Guinea red card. This is a Guinea red card.
I think this is a Gambia.
I think you missed that.
This is a Gambia red card.
You're talking about the Guinea red card with the shielding back.
Yeah, that was at the end of the game. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. Look, so he loses.
That was the first yellow. The first one.
How is that a red card? Honestly, how is that a red card? He turns around and he puts.
It was a second yellow though.
It's still not a yellow.
It's still not a yellow.
That's not a yellow card offense, especially when you know the player is on a yellow and you know that this is going to send him off. Why do you know? I'll suck you.
I think I've seen players giving yellow for less, to be honest.
As a yellow card,
for a yellow card, I have seen players get yellow card for things that I don't even understand.
Yeah, but see, a second yellow is different from a yellow card.
A yellow is a yellow.
No. When the player is already in a yellow card and he does that,
yes,
that's what you see. Referees are not just existing.
Was it 3 weeks ago that a player got sent off in the Premier League for two quick yellow cards? I think it was recently.
It was
Jimenez.
No, but Jimenez was
Jimenez. So the second,
was being silly.
No, you see,
Jimenez was being silly.
But you see, if I
don't think those are comparable.
Because of the yellow card, just give him a
I'm saying that was silly. He deserved that. This is.
There are certain conditions. There are certain fouls that will quickly generate a yellow card. It doesn't
No, the second
matter.
one wasn't even a foul. That's what Daniel was saying.
Yes,
I was
that's
using
what
his
I'm
own
saying.
The one
argument
in
about
foul,
understanding the
he
emotions
stood in
of the
front
game
the ball
and being
prevented it
sensible.
from being taken.
Yes.
That's
But
different.
that's
That's
a
different
different
from trying
yellow.
to
He
shield the ball. You make no contact
No, I
at all,
think
and the referee
that's a
there
bad
just
example because he committed a tackle, go a yellow. He was upset about it. Then instead of letting them play the free kick, he stood in front of it, which in itself is another thing. So he just did 2 quick yellow card offenses in succession. It's not the same as he committed a yellow card foul and committed another foul later, and they said, "Okay, you've committed 2
Was it
fouls. Come off."
was it a foul?
That one I don't
The
remember.
Gambia
I don't
incident.
remember the
Offense, not
first
every
one.
foul is a cardable offense. Even if this were
I
a
get
foul.
that, but I'm saying that so long as it's a foul, we have seen fouls giving yellow cards. And then in the very next game, or even the same game, a similar foul is in yellow card.
you see,
So I'm saying that
the
for
fact that
yellow
that
card
looks
offense,
as
As a
more
like
like
fence, can
it
I ask you a
doesn't mean it's
question?
right.
Did that look reckless or careless to you?
I don't know.
Well, if you can't answer that, it just shows.
No, I
it's not
can't
a yellow
answer
card.
exactly. So it's up to the referee. He's decided it's a
Okay.
second yellow card. That's not my problem.
That's not your problem. All right.
That's his problem.
We've got a couple of messages here. Let me read them quickly. This one says, you clearly see that teams like Comoros and Gambia are getting things right because they are tactically disciplined and it's showing in their games. Sammy from Seshri Bekwai. And then, guys, I've got 2 messages here from people who seem to love what we do. Let me read this one. Cyrus from Woolensey in the Nanumba South District says, it's always a pleasure watching and listening to you display wisdom. Big ups to the guys behind the scenes who are giving us great output. As for Nathan Daniel, the statsman, he's called Susu, Fent and coach. This is indeed a solid team of sports journalists. Maximum respect to you guys. Kweku Caesar says, whenever I watch you guys giving analysis on football games, I feel so delighted. Delivery, stats, comparisons, suggestions, and healthy arguments are just top notch from you guys. Your expression of expertise in this field of sports is amazing. And looking at how young your team is, I'm hopeful you guys will make it into the higher realms of football punditry. I wonder what the higher realms are, man. And this one says, and the man whose name I love to mention is here, Fento Tahiru Fento. That's from Kweku Caesar. The guy seems to like your name, man.
Today I saw something on Twitter. Somebody asked you that would you consider taking your wife's last name if you marry her? Mm-hmm. And I said, if my wife's last name is Dangote, what am I doing with Tahiru? There are enough Tahirus in the world. The Dangotes are not enough.
There are not a lot of Dangotes.
No, not at all.
That's a very good example.
It is.
And why not?
Exactly.
If she can take my name,
because you see, imagine if there were more Dangotes. That's more.
Just before we go for a break, I'd always wondered, why is it that when women get married, they go from Miss to Mrs.? What happens to the men?
You become Mr. You move from just Nathan to Mr.
We are called Mr. all our lives.
No, you are not.
Yeah.
Technically, you are not. You see, that's the thing.
Are
That's
you
where
sure?
we get it wrong. Technically,
You are not.
Until you're married, you're not a Mister.
Are you sure?
Technically, yes.
Anyway,
So what is it if it's not Mr.? The way they have Miss, what's the
hey,
one for?
it's hey.
No, you're just gentleman.
Hey. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV.